Hi guys, hope you've been keeping safe and well. In this week's video we'll be looking at wedge fitting. We'll be starting off by using the DNA swing analyzer, which will show us all the gappings of how long the wedges will go. We'll also be looking at bounce options and how they work best out and what conditions and what sort of swings you are, angle of attack, etc. We'll also be looking at lie angles because they will differ from your standard set as they're completely different swings that we use on these smaller, shorter shots. Right, so we'll start off by hitting the 3 shots. Right, so that's the 3 shots done and the information is on the app. I shall start my wedge fitting. Right, so we'll have a look. So, pitching wedge. Says for me, 45-degree wedge, which is in my set, will go 122 yards. And as you can see, if we like start changing the sort of wedges, it will then also start changing the distances. So for me, 45 degrees. So gap wedge, I have got a 50, 108 yards. Sand wedge, I've got 54, 96, that's about right. And then lob wedge, 58 again for me, 84 yards, about spot on. So they do vary as we look at different manufacturers, but that's a good sort of guide. I've got a few demo wedges in the fitting centre that we can use. It's just a handful of them. Just had a new bag full of the new zip core from Cleveland in to try. For those of you that don't know, the bounce angle is the sole angle between the front leading edge and the rear edge. This, the more angle you have, the deeper, the bigger bounce angle. For this one is a 12 bounce, that one's a 10. The leading edge will be slightly higher off the floor. That is generally for someone that would have a steeper angle of attack, have slightly bigger divots, and the lower bounce options of the turf are for someone that will slide and nip it a little bit cleaner. With regards to other conditions that you would choose different bounce options, you don't ever get the 2 different options together. So higher bounce would be dry, light, fluffy sand and wet, soggy ground. You don't get them together, not even in this country. And the lower bounce option is wet, harder, compacted sand, and again dry, hard ground, which again you don't actually get together. So with that in mind, what I normally recommend for people is having something with a slightly bigger bounce as your middle wedge, so your sand iron, 54 or 56 depending on what gapping you're going to get. Then your highest lofted wedge that you carry, so 58, 60, that sort of thing, will have a lower bounce option which you'll be able to nip it clean off the harder ground. Right, we're going to have a little look at the Vokeys now. These are a 56 degree with a couple of different bounce options. They do the standard bounce. We've got here a D grind, which is the chamfered off the back, so it's easy to open up, close down. So it's the same sort of grind as the M grind that's been in the range for quite a few years, but just a slightly higher bounce option. Let's see how these work. Right, as you can see, the higher bounce option is marked towards the rear of the club, away from the leading edge, and the standard bounce option is still a little bit back there. I am a bit of a slider, so don't take particularly big divots. So lots of food for thought there. Again, each player's individual to how they actually going to play and what sort of shots they're going to play with their wedges. So it's all up for discussion. Come down, we can get you in, discuss the bounce options. There's lots of great wedges we've got in stock. Another point to remember is the grooves on the faces. Guys, if you're out there playing with wedges that are 2 years old or more, you're losing spin. The faces do deteriorate, especially if you're playing golf a lot. So treat yourself. A few new wedges in your bag will transform your game, especially if we're getting the right bounces and lies and everything finely tuned just for you. Right, I hope you've enjoyed this week's video. If it's given you a bit of food for thought to come down and have a little wedge fitting, you can jump online. At the moment there's no facility for booking wedge fitting, but if you just book an iron fit and put in the notes on it about wanting wedges, we will look after you when you come down, or of course you can jump on the phone, give us a call, and one of our trained operatives will book you in for a session of your convenience. Right, thanks for watching. Look out for next week's video. Stay safe and well. We'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye bye.